9 Learning Strategies for Developers. Being a software developer isn't easy. The learning process never stops. Here are 9 different strategies to optimize this adventure we have agreed to go on. Let's talk about it. People have been building physical structures for thousands of years. The way people build those structures are still changing, but it's safe to say we have it mostly figured out. Every developed country in the world, after all, has thorough building standards that actually tell you how each and every step of the process is to be done. We have only been building software for computers for less than 100 years. While the building codes might change annually, small shifts in how we build software are happening almost daily. There isn't a single best way to build software, and we do not have government-backed standards to help us. So we have to rely on each other and our own experiences to guide us. How do you learn what you need to know to do your job better? There isn't a right answer that I can give you. What I can give you, though, are a few strategies that have helped me, and hopefully they will help you too. Give them a try. Keep the ones that work for you and discard the ones that don't. Learning is a very personal process. Strategy number 1, the right environment and dosage. I prefer to study in a quiet place with possibly some instrumental or classical music playing softly as white noise. I'm fond of soundtracks. The soundtracks from Game of Thrones, the movie The Fountain, and a playlist with a couple of dozen tracks on it. Do you have preferences? You definitely should. An environment that is conducive to the way you learn best will make a world of difference in your journey. I'm not encouraging you to skip studying while on the bus or wherever you typically do your learning, but it will be beneficial to figure out where you learn best and give it a try and compare results. I also personally prefer, if I can, and especially if the topic is going to be a difficult one, to time block. The length of time will be dependent upon the topic, but usually at least 1 hour split into 2. Half for learning, half for doing. Otherwise, Pomodoros work really well to keep me on track. I usually go for 30 minutes of learning and 10 minutes of rest and stretching, and then repeat until I'm satisfied or run out of time. This is what works for me. Strategy number 2, Masterclass. Master classes are a really good source of learning, but they have their cons too. I like the fact that an instructor has taken the time to create a single source with an end goal in mind. If you go through the entire course, and if the instructor has done their job well, you will have met that goal. This structure is a strong selling point for me. Like I said though, there are cons. Master classes are typically long, and it is almost 100% guaranteed that you're going to see some stuff you just don't care about and likely don't need at this point. For example, if you are an experienced developer, you already know how variables, loop, and logic branches work. You don't need that described to you, but they'll be in just about any master class. I have pretty high standards for master classes. There is no way I'm going to sit through 10 hours of video material or 500 pages if the content has a 3.3 out of 5 rating. No way. I try to find content rated at least 4.5 out of 5, but have went as low as 4 out of 5, but no lower. It just isn't worth it. You're safe having these types of standards on marketplaces like Udemy and Amazon, which have a public feedback system, but be wary of using only the content publisher's website as the sole source. Try to find independent reviews. For popular courses, you can usually find a few reviews on YouTube. Just be mindful that affiliates that give reviews have a vested interest in getting you to buy. Strategy number 3, trusted sources. If you don't want to take on the masterclass, independent sources, especially if they're not trying to sell you something, can be great too. There are thousands of articles out there for nearly any programming language, framework, or platform you want to learn. Just a bit of Google or YouTube can point you in the right direction. Something I like to do when I'm starting on something completely new to me is to look through the table of contents on Amazon for books on the topic I'm looking to learn, and on Udemy for courses. You can usually see the table of contents and start getting an idea that you can refine with each new source on what you should be learning. If 10 books or courses say to learn switch statements after if statements, just do it. If you are enjoying the video, please click the like button. You can't believe how much it helps. If you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel. We upload a new video every other Sunday covering topics relevant to software engineers and architects. Strategy number 4, limit your scope. This can be a difficult strategy if you are a beginner. How much is enough? Where do you stop? Going back to the table of contents of a book, try to go one chapter or topic at a time. Learning an entire language or framework in a day isn't likely to happen. Just keep moving forward. Don't spend 12 hours in a chair. You aren't likely to get much from that. Spending 12 hours spread out over a few days, though, is entirely doable and is easier on you. I know that I learn much better when I stagger things out. I also encourage you to learn one thing at a time. This isn't a perfect analogy, but if you don't know JavaScript, learning TypeScript and Angular at the same time is going to suck a lot. You would be much better off learning a bit of JavaScript and then applying it to learning Angular. Focus as much as you can. The smaller amount you take on, the easier it will be to get a handle on, and the better your chances of recognizing what done looks like. Strategy number 5, hands-on learning. My recommendation here depends on whether or not you are a beginner level developer. If you are, start slow and be very deliberate. Iterate on what you learn, and at each iteration increase the complexity until it feels like you are accomplishing something meaningful. Then move on to the next thing you need to know. If you aren't a beginner, you already know how to develop software. Do what you normally do, but in the new language or framework of your choice. Typically, it comes down to terminology. You will have ideas and you can use the documentation or internet to work out those details. Writing simple programs while learning is not difficult. Strategy number 6, Google. For beginners, there is simply too much to learn at this point. I really believe this. Based on my limited recall of over 25 years ago, there was far less to learn back then. There may have been just as much, and I have forgotten. I'm completely self-taught, and I spent 16 months learning anytime I could while helping to raise 2 kids to land my first job. Now though, the list of items that every job has as a requirement seems to have doubled. Don't be afraid though. The big difference between now and 25 years ago is Google. I stand by the rule of master the tree, learn the branches, let Google keep track of the leaves. I feel that I have a really good grasp on at least 6 different languages right now, but I don't always remember the details. But Google does. If I can describe my problem, Google or YouTube can provide an answer. Strategy number 7, find a friend. If you can find someone to learn with, the entire journey can be easier and enjoyable. A group is even better. I would recommend searching on Reddit or Discord servers for learning buddies. Then set up a private Discord server for the group. This will allow everyone to share what they learn and really accelerate the process. The important part here is reporting back to the group. Knowing that you're going to be soon teaching someone what you are learning changes the way you look at and learn the material. For most people, this makes the learning process more stressful, but more impactful too. Strategy number 8, read and understand from what is out in the wild. There is a ton of open source code out there on GitHub and other repositories. Look at projects written in the language or using the framework you are learning and study what they are doing. Download the code, get it running, try to make changes. It may surprise you what you pick up from doing these simple exercises. However, be cautious. Large projects can be incredibly complex. Pick small and medium-sized projects to learn from at first and work your way up to larger and more complex projects over time. Strategy number 9, steel and concrete, not bubblegum and toothpicks. Reinforce what you already know and keep learning new stuff. Once simply is not enough. Repeat what you are learning until it sticks. This will take longer, of course, but it helps provide a more stable foundation to build on. Setting up a new Angular project once is great, but if you do it a few more times, the details are going to be much more recallable for you. Everyone learns differently, but these 9 strategies will hopefully be helpful to everyone. Do you have a favorite strategy that you like to lean on that I didn't cover? Leave it in the comments. If you liked this video, you might like this one that explores why personal projects are beneficial to any developer, regardless of skill level. Until next time, keep coding.